Yes, welcome to Satsang. Welcome to all the friends here in the physical body, and welcome to all the friends that are joining us tonight. For some of you it's a day in Europe or anywhere else around the world. I think it's an important time more than ever, with the American voting situation, to actually go within. The pull of story is tremendous. Everyone wants to go into the story with their own mind, and yet existence has its own play. And somehow I really like the unknown factor in the moment. It kind of reflects every moment in our life where we believe we know something, we believe that things should happen in a certain way, we have certain ideas what is right and what is wrong, and all that is our interpretation. All that arises within us to recreate a sense of self. Welcome. And we cannot create a sense of self when we are completely in the unknown. It's like everything is open. And most of the time we miss that every moment is holding us in the unknown because we don't know what's going to happen the next moment. We have a certain idea, or we have a certain routine, or we have a certain program, or we have certain dates in the calendar. It's all relevant for for our practical life. But we miss most of the time that every planning what does planning do? It takes us into the future, and it takes us into an identity that we want to preserve, so that what we are planning is actually manifesting. So there's so many different levels of this, like if you look into the internet, there are so many courses, online courses, how to create your reality and how to manifest, physical abundance, the lover of your life, material abundance. And some people have quite an interesting insight into that possibility, like Joe Dispenza, for example. It's quite fascinating what he comes up with, that to a certain extent works. But this is only one level. It's on the human level, on the identification level. It can be more refined. But ultimately, it's not freedom, is it? I don't know if we can talk about this here already. Perhaps we can. No? On a deepest level, and it's a funny thing when I listen to Osho these days. That's all I hear. He talked about it from the very beginning. If you remember, he talked about you're not the body, and we always think we are the body. He talked about we are not the mind. That was such a puzzle for me the first time I came to Pune, and I'm not my mind. Of course I'm my mind. My thought creates my whole life. And no, we are not my mind. And then we can take it further. Moji takes it beautifully further in his invitation, if you want to ever listen to it, which is gently leaving everything aside that the mind can construct. And what is left? Obviously, I'm still here, even if everything is gone. If our thoughts are gone, the beliefs are gone, the ideals are gone, the strategies are gone, the identifications are gone, the emotional pain is gone, the deep suffering of relationship is gone. What is left? I'm still here. What is that? And how does that relate to my day-to-day life? I think it's such an interesting mystery, really. I'm sure quite a few of us were quite busy today, including me. Anybody was busy today? Yeah, more or less. Many things. 10,000 things. And when you're in the busyness mode, you always think, okay, just this, and then it's finished. And then after this, something new comes, and then it's finished. And then after this, and it never ends. And then suddenly you sit down for a moment, or I've been lying down in the sun, and suddenly this whole thing, this whole becoming becomes totally irrelevant to now, to who I am. Can you relate to that? No? And so as long as this consciousness has a body, it's very beautiful. I don't think we should deny the body just because we understand I'm not the body. And that's where Tantra comes in. I'm still kind of vibrating from this beautiful couples course we had. It's already a week ago, but it's very much present in me. Because one of the elements that in the West are not so commonly acknowledged, but in the East, in India, for example, it is wonderfully part of everyday life, is the next step from, if we take it as steps from sex to sensitivity, to joy, to love, to devotion, and to awareness, and to oneness. It looks like a ladder, it looks like a becoming, but it's not a becoming, it's a refinement of whatever energy is already within us. And in Tantra, this is such a very beautiful possibility to discover, or let's say rediscover, an element that we haven't learned in the West, which is devotion. Love is okay. Melting is okay. Codependency is okay. Relationship is okay. But devotion, seeing the other as divine, is only possible when you see yourself as an embodiment of the divine. Is that hubris? Is that arrogance? Is that kind of strange? When I first time in 1980 went to India, actually I went to India before, but to Pune, I could not understand why these people all are bowing down and touching Osho's feet and all these strange gestures. I think, how can you diminish yourself like this? And yet, perhaps we are in a different time now where devotion has a different and a much deeper meaning. Because all of it, meditation, practices, yoga, all these things that now many, many people practice. When we went to Pune, we were hippies, we were outsiders, we were completely off the wall for the rest of society. But now it's everywhere. And so, for example, in yoga there are many, many postures that actually are postures of reverence. And why, for what is that? It is a subtle, perhaps tender way to disappear as a self, as a me, as a structural ego. And the mind has created many ways so that devotion can happen. Like all the many religions actually work with devotion, but unfortunately it becomes a dead ritual. It's not really devotion. It's not, I want to give my life for you. Did anybody ever had that with anyone in your life where you felt there is so much love, so much deep connection that you would die for him or her? Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing, no? I mean, if you look at it, we almost have to whisper this, because why would you want to die for anyone? But that's only a stepping stone to nothingness, to nobodiness, to presence, to being. And it doesn't matter to what we are devoted. When you go into nature these days, sometimes it just hits you when you drive past this super. I mean, if you just drive through Mevlana, not through the gate in the back, but in the front, did you see this jacaranda tree? It's just blows your mind. No? Oh my God, where is that coming from? From nothingness, not from the great ego of the tree. Say, look, I'm a jacaranda. Look at my colors. Can you see me? It's just God in action, or goddess. And why should we be separate from that? So this whole gesture of namaste, now it has become common that we greet each other like this. Well, it actually means I see the divine in you. Can you switch your way of looking? Do a little namaste and look at all these divine beings here. Yeah. It's you look at goddesses, you look at gods in form. And obviously God doesn't repeat itself, so everybody is so unique. Yeah. How did we get there? Yeah. Trump!
Can you see the divine in Donald Trump?
Absolutely.
I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See? It's perfect. No? So, today a beautiful quintessence came. The quintessence is called Saint-Germain. Saint Germain is also the master healer. Now, why master healer in the violet? Because the moment we recognize ourselves as presence rather than as an ego structure, then everything is presence. The cicadas are singing presence. The nature sings presence. The cushion is present. Everything we look at is me. Does anybody had this experience, at least on a drug trip? Yeah? Well, basically, I wouldn't recommend, please don't take any drugs. You can have this whole experience just when you relax a little, when you don't believe so much your ongoing mind and recognize that there's an awareness behind every thought. Otherwise we couldn't even think it. So Saint Germain, that master healer, is kind of also called the violet flame of transmutation, like that light from above that nourishes all beings, including us, that is like a huge space that holds everything in its isness. Did you know that just the isness is the most healing thing possible? Because as we relax into the isness, then there's no more interpretation of what is, there's no more judgment of what is, there's no more wanting something else than is, there's no more effort, because what is already. And then everything can fall back into its own source. And what is that source? I think nobody ever has seen it, felt it, touched it, and yet everything arises from here. And then, of course, humans have given it a name like consciousness or emptiness or grace or existence. But it's amazing. It all comes from no thing into something. And when that something, which is including the body, including our thoughts, including our pains and pleasures, including our ecstasy and the deepest agony, everything is already held in who we are. That's what we therapists try so hard to support someone who is suffering. With the simple question, well, can you be a space for this? Can you be the space for this experience? Because it's already here. Which then takes us to the origin of suffering, which is never the fact. It's always our interpretation of the fact. Suffering is pain plus the resistance of it. I don't want it. Suffering is relationship trouble plus wanting to change the other. Good luck. Suffering is, the Buddha said it already so beautifully, it's wanting what is not. It's not wanting what is and not knowing the difference. So simple. And how many times are we getting caught up in this every day? So Saint Germain is kind of it is another energy we can be devoted to, the devotion to existence itself, the devotion to the space that holds us every moment, the devotion, the tenderness. It's kind of, this violet is a very, personally, even though we are not a person, but for me personally, it's the color of my inner woman. It's a very gentle, soft, transparent violet, healing on all levels. And it's a vibrational field. Shall we try this? Can you stand up and make your left wrist available? When you receive Saint Germain, rub it into your wrists and close your eyes. And allow yourself to tune into whatever needs healing right now. Whatever needs to return to wholeness. Whatever needs space within. Whatever needs to return to love. Yes, and then you can raise your arms high above the head. Imagine you're growing wings from the core of your spine to your fingertips. And then you can allow your wings to open and close above the crown, crossing over at the midline of the body. It's like integrating the right and the left hemisphere. And in the opening to the vast sky of healing, and in the embrace, embracing the inner sky, that inner vastness. And a deep breath. And then opening and embracing the third eye, the forehead center. In the opening the curtain of all our identifications, of all our projections. And in the embrace the clarity of seeing, the pure awareness, choiceless, seeing what is. And then opening your wings around the throat. In the opening, drawing the curtain open of all our beliefs. And in the embrace, embracing the unknown, embracing the creative force that comes from emptiness in the throat, embracing that spontaneous capacity to express yourself from presence. And then opening your wings around the heart, drawing the curtain of shoulds and should nots, of all these ideals that we carry about ourselves, about others. And in the embrace, embracing the heart, that innocent, open, compassionate field of your heart, that natural loving kindness. We don't need to practice it, it's our deepest nature. You just need to let it surface, come to the surface. Then opening your wings around the third chakra. This is kind of letting go of Iron Man, of the whole armor of protection, all these strategies of defenses, comparison, competition, judgment, blame. And in the embracing the joy of being yourself, of being an individual, of being a powerful force that can move mountains. And then opening around the second chakra, the lower belly, in the opening, releasing or opening to the wind and the sun and the rain, all our emotional wounds. They are just thought forms that have embodied themselves in our energy field. As we let them go, we can embrace our deepest sensitivity, our deep capacity to feel, to merge, to melt, and to be alone. Yeah. And then opening the wings around the first chakra, the root center, in the opening to all that life that constantly flows through this physical body, opening to your sexual energy. That's the only energy we have. That's the energy that can transform. And in the embracing this body as your temple, the divine abode, so that the divine has a form right now. Long legs all the way down, connecting with Mother Earth and letting go. It's a good moment to let go of everything, anything you can think of, all your thoughts, feelings, stories, memories, hopes, past, future. Let it go. Give it all back to the earth. Till for a moment you are empty. But you still are. And now as you come up, you can unwind your wings around each other in a backward spiral towards the body, loosening the last remaining holding fibers of the mind. So for a moment we can just stand open, transparent, perhaps a being of light, of love, of divinity. And then you can bring your palms together and your wrists close to your nostrils, and taking 3 deep breaths of this fragrance into the temple of the body. Very good. And then we can sit. So I want to dedicate the light of the candle today to healing on all levels, for all humanity, for all the friends sitting here with me in this room, for all the friends that are joining us, and then beyond that, the whole earth. The whole earth, when we recognize that the earth is also held in infinite care of that which looks like an empty universe, which is, even scientists have found it's held together by love. And our Steve becomes more and more artistic. He built such a very beautiful, very beautiful jacaranda explosion. Thank you. So, a meditation. Close your eyes. Because everything we ever look for is within. If you only remember this, whatever you're looking for is within. You're actually looking from it. That's why it's so incomprehensible. That which we seek is who we are. Take a deep breath. One more deep breath and letting it go. One more time, really open your chest, open your belly, open your whole being in the in-breath. And letting it go. And for a moment, allow all your 5 senses to become doorways inward. Usually we use the senses to move outward to the object, to the sound that we hear, to the object we touch, to the taste we taste, to the food we taste, to the fragrance we smell. So in day-to-day life our senses reach out. That's why the more sensory input we come across, the more our energy leaks and we feel tired at the end of the day. And yet the same senses can be doorways inwards, doorways into presence. As we receive the music in this moment, as we receive the night animals and their sounds, as we receive the silence behind the sounds, as we receive the touch of the cushion that you're sitting on, or the touch of your feet that are touching the ground or the carpet. And you will find as we receive any of the senses within, we are present, we're here. Because we can only feel in this moment. We can only see in this moment. We can only hear, taste, or smell in this moment. Now just find as naturally, when we are present, all the living functions continue, the breath continues, whether you think of it or not. The heartbeat continues. These thousands of biochemical functions for digestion, for oxygen, for blood flowing, for the cells being alive, is all wonderfully orchestrated, not by the little me, but by the infinite aliveness of the universe. Now we can feel how each out-breath perhaps gives us a sense of letting go deeper. And each in-breath perhaps a sense of expanding the experience of this moment. And then it may seem like with each out-breath we are melting deeper inside. We're melting deeper than thoughts. And realize thoughts can be there. They're like clouds in the empty sky. And yet who I am is deeper than that. Or awareness is deeper than that. And we can melt deeper than feelings and emotions. And deeper than body sensations. And perhaps we can find, as our awareness wanders through all that we can be aware of as objects, we realize we are deeper than any object. Deeper than the breath. Deeper than the heartbeat. And when we ask ourselves, well, what is deeper than the heartbeat? Maybe we can say we are deeper than all experiences. And who am I? What is this me that is deeper than all experiences? And no matter how much we search, there is no answer, and yet I am. Rest here for a while. It's almost like we have jumped from the form into the formless universe, the infinity, the boundarylessness, the beginningless and endless, impossible to conceive with the mind. Rest here for a while. as each out-breath takes us even deeper into the mystery. Drink this peace. Let it gently permeate through every cell of your body. Feel how every experience in this moment is so gently held in peace and silence and stillness, effortless. In this moment we are part of an infinite ocean, and yet like a still lake, no ripples on the surface. In a moment when you gently come back to the surface, come back into body awareness, bring with you the vastness, the eternal, the beginningless, the endless. And you can take a deeper breath. Gently become aware of the body again. Sometimes it may feel like we have been diving very deep in the ocean and now coming back to the surface. Another deep breath, perhaps stretching the body a little bit. Until you find a good moment to open your eyes to a new moment here. Very good. Maybe another good breath and a good stretch into the fingers and toes and everywhere. Yes, this is quite something. The more present you are, the less you need to decide anything until it happens. Something always happens. Now it's a bit freaky, you know, it's like when you wake up in the morning and you don't even know what you're going to wear. Until suddenly you find yourself putting on some pants. Can you imagine? If we bring that quality of presence into more and more moments of our life, there is so much grace, so much unexpected happening. So what I wanted to say is, if there's anything that you want to share or ask or comment or inquire, you're very welcome. And there's a space here by my side. And also for the friends around the world, our friend Steve is here, and actually his name is Premdas, the servant of love. And if you have any comments or anything that you would like to ask from Germany or from Taiwan or from South America, or wherever you are, you're very welcome. We're all sitting in the same room, in the same space, in the same consciousness. And in a way, it's beautiful, you know. Once we are more silent, then our mind, all questions simply disappear. All answers disappear. Or perhaps things arise from presence, spontaneously. If that happens, trust it. And,
so there isn't really a question here.
good.
More of an observation and an acknowledgement of you bringing up this word decision.
Mm.
And it feels as a experience I'd like to relate. Because the understanding of the decision-making process here now is nothing like what I was conditioned to think.
That's right.
And this started for me about 17 years ago, when I found myself in the emergency room in a pretty devastating state of depression and drug overdose. And a few days later, I was knocking on the door of the Narcotics Anonymous room, and one of the first things that was explained to me was how this holding tightly onto the steering wheel of the bus to the point of white knuckles, all it had done was have me arrive at the door of Narcotics Anonymous and knock, and nothing else. About a year later, I was on the first retreat that I'd ever done, self-help retreat. It was the Hoffman quadrinity process. And there introduced was around a concept of choice. It was a similar thing, with a fork in the road and a left and a right, and which way to go. So various ponderings over the past decade and a half, I suppose, have opened that more often than not, I find myself somewhere.
Yes, we all do. No?
And there hasn't been a conscious decision to be in this place or to wear those pants or to whatever it may be. And then I suppose the next step is, or for me has been, that this thought of I have decided
that comes after, no?
Well, not always. Yes, more often than not. Yes. But it's totally an egoic thought.
Totally.
Because if I had not involved myself in any way at all, I would have been standing on the right road or the left road.
That's right.
And this thought that I made a decision to go right is totally illusory.
Well, you can also ask, well, who or what brought that thought into your mind that you then follow? That's already the end of personal doership. You know, we say, I think, but do you really think, or is thought happening? Even tonight with Satsang, do you really decide to come here? Or is the thought entering your mind and you follow it? Welcome here. And you know, the strange thing, and this is, of course, you know, when I hear myself talk about this, sometimes my little me also says, Rahasya, come on, that's much too far, you know. Keep it simple, keep it here.
Simple.
But obviously it needs to be heard because it comes out of my mouth, so I don't even need to decide what I'm going to say, which is a very, very beautiful state, if you like.
Yes.
And you know, and you know it, And the strange thing is that the less the little me decides, the more presence just responds to things and situations. There's some element that is a total mystery for me. I don't know about the audience here. I'm really curious that the more we step out of the decision-making process, the righter the decisions become. Or it feels like that's what you look back and say, this is exactly what needed to happen.
The whole concept of the right and wrong decision melts.
Yeah. There is no right or wrong decision.
No.
There's just the river takes this direction.
And as you say, it's simple.
It's simple.
And it seems to me more and more and more that the truth is simple.
Totally simple.
If it's not simple, it's not.
It's not the truth. That's right.
Yes.
Very good. That's fantastic. And we can only observe it as it happens. No? And sometimes, sometimes you really need to decide. And the ego says, now you have to decide. I have that also. It's like, now I have to. And then you don't follow it, and you just say, okay, right now it's not happening. And then when you don't even think about it anymore, that you have to decide, suddenly you do it. Or you don't.
And maybe I didn't have milk because I decided not to go to the shop.
That's right.
It doesn't actually get a lot worse than that.
So, it's really tricky when we talk about this, because the ego can grasp anything and make an argument out of it. Yes, but. The famous yes, but. So, when I hear myself say this, it is being said from presence, not from a concept how it should be. And the mind loves to make a concept out of everything. And the moment we talk about it, of course, there is an element of conceptualization.
Yeah, this is why I came to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But also what I find so, where I'm getting so grateful, this gap time before you came, before I actually found out that you had your hand up. The mind waits for a while till maybe somebody says something, and then it's not followed up, and then there is this incredible simple depths of presence. And I remember, the first time I experienced something like this was totally unwilling, and I was very, very restless about it at the beginning when I heard Osho talk for the first time, because he talked with such endless pauses between the words until I realized that's his transmission. The words are just, they're just a filling for the mind, that the mind stays in suspense for us to fall beyond the mind. That is so genius. Until we are ready to just sit in silence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Diva.
Just when you said before that thing about when you don't take action, something happens anyway. And I don't know, sometimes I take action and I'm not sure they're right. And like I had a thing with my nephew. You know about my nephew, I told you this before.
You told me.
And he's in psychological trouble, I think. And then
I love that you say "I think." That's important. Probably many people think it, and probably he thinks it too. And now he knows who he is. He gets defined by everybody's opinion, and adjusts to that label. Isn't that how we function? It's a very strange thing. Yeah? Until we know who we are, that's, you know, our sense of self is so arbitrary. It's so much determined of what other people think of us. Our parents started with that. No? You're a good girl.
Anyway, I did something.
Okay.
Because I woke up one morning and then I contacted his someone who might know his father that he hasn't seen since he was 4, and I thought this might be good for him. Yeah. And then I didn't get hold of the father, but I got his auntie, and she said then she'd been looking for him and couldn't find him, so she was happy. So her and I connected. She's my age, and but then she told me that his father also has psychological problems. Yeah. And then I didn't know if it's good for him to tell him, to introduce him to this family that he hasn't had contact with for all these years. So I don't know, it came up now when you talked about this action and resting, and then things happen, but this thing, in a way it happened, but also I did it, and did I do it from an unclean space or something? I don't know.
Well, even if there was an agenda behind it, it happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, who knows whether, who knows what the divine play is? I mean, there the Bhagavad Gita is kind of the best example, which is really, really a difficult one for our Western mind to understand. I don't know if you read a little bit or if you know the story. Basically, Arjuna gets invited by Krishna, who is his charioteer, to go to war. And to go to war against his own family. There's two parties, and on the other side of the river is his uncle, his aunt, and all these friends and families. And for some reason, war is happening, and Arjuna retreats and says, "No, I don't want to go there. Why would I want to kill all my family?" And so there's an incredible dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, where, it's been a long time that I read it, but I want to read it again. It's like where he says, they're already dead. Existence has already decided that this war is going to happen. Is it good? Is it right? Is it wrong? Should Trump win? Should should Joe Biden win? I mean, we're right in it, no? And pretty much everyone who is kind of caught in the sense of self, which we probably all are to a certain extent, we have a certain opinion about this: good, bad, right, wrong. But all that is happening in whom? Yeah. Also the doubt. You can only be aware of doubt because there's someone who sees, I'm doubting this. It may be wrong, it may be right. No? And then Krishna says, you don't have a choice. It's already decided. And the ego, of course, says, wait a minute, no, not so easy, and this is impossible, and whatever happens in this
election or war.
Thank you, election. In this election or war, exactly what happens, we don't know. It may become really violent. We have no idea. No? So the concept of right and wrong, which is taught to us from the very, very beginning, is so fleeting. There's this beautiful story, I'm sure you heard it, where in the time of the king and some simple people, there's a farmer that owns a very beautiful white horse. And he's very poor. And one day a servant of the king comes and says, the king heard of your horse, he wants to buy it. And the farmer says, no, this is my horse, I need it to plow my fields. I'm sorry, tell the king I cannot sell it. It's just my horse. No? And the people in the village said, are you crazy? If you would sell your horse, you would get so much money, you would not have to plow your field. And the farmer says, well, who knows? Who knows? Then, one day the horse is gone. It has escaped. And the villagers say, oh my God, you stupid farmer, now your horse is gone, now you're poor and you don't have a horse. And the farmer says, well, I don't know. I just know the horse is gone. Who knows if it's good or bad? Then after a week the horse comes back with 20 wild horses. And the villagers say, my God, you are so lucky. Now you have your horse and 20 more horses. And the father had a son, and the son was trained to break in the horses. And the farmer said, well, I don't know if it's good or bad, it just is. So the son breaks in one really wild horse, falls off the horse and breaks his leg and becomes a cripple. And then the villager, oh my God, you poor farmer, why did you do that? No? Is that good, bad? The farmer says, I don't know, maybe good, maybe bad, I don't know. Then comes the war, and all the young people get drafted and get killed, but the farmer's boy couldn't walk, so he couldn't get drafted. Then the villager came, oh, you're lucky, we all lost our son and you have it. The farmer said, I don't know, and so on. I think it's a very, very good story, because our mind, our egoic mind, loves to identify with anything. And then it likes to be really hard on you, like you are hard on yourself. Was it the right decision? Was it wrong? Should I have done it? No? And it's always afterwards, because and you can actually use it, because the moment you have doubt about what you did, it means you re-identify with I call it an illusory self, and somebody that is separate from whatever happens and has a sense of me that is then separate from them. No? That's the purpose of it. My ego wants to know this. It's not bad, but it's it's limited. And the moment you relax and say, oh my God, that's the best thing I could do. Aren't we all, including Trump, the best, doing the best we can?
I try.
No?
Yes.
Yeah, even if we don't try, we do the best we can. We cannot be anything else than we are. And who knows? Maybe your little hint of the Father, has brought him into something that he was missing his whole life. And maybe meeting his father, who is also psychologically disturbed, can be a fantastic healing, or it can be a disaster. Who knows?
Yeah.
No?
I feel more relaxed now.
Good. Now, the good thing is then that little me cannot be responsible for the deeds of the divine. It's not. No? And that's where kind of the devotion thing comes in. It's like, okay, into your hands I lay my spirit. Whatever you is, there's of course no you, there's just existence. No? So you can relax.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I need to sing to play you the song from Peter McKenna, Into Your Hands. I don't have the Mi-10 version on this thing, unfortunately. But I really like that version, because that's the Pune 1 version, the old Pune 1 version. Which, when I first came to Pune, Anubhava, what was his name? Anubhava was, who is Peter McKenna. He was singing it in the music group, and I was standing at the side of the music group, and I thought, my God, I ended up in heaven. There were 3,000 people singing, on one side the women, on the other side the men, and it was incredible. If I find it. Maybe. Close your eyes. And just find this place in you where you give your whole existence to the infinite.
And I learn from where the sun's all borrowed.
To your hands I to your hands I lay my spirit. Yes. We started with devotion, we ended with devotion. Take it into the evening, take it into the night. When you go to bed, feel that the whole existence kind of cuddles you into your bed and holds you in your sleep. And when you wake up, you see the divine for the first time again. Every morning. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening. We continue with the satsangs on Fridays, so next Friday you're welcome. And it's also, you can see it on my website. No, not on my website, on my Facebook page. And I also put it on YouTube because there are some friends in Europe that somehow don't use Facebook. So if you want to kind of watch it later, or somebody else wants to watch it later, you're very welcome. Thank you everyone around the world. Be well, have a good day, a good night, and walk in love and blessings and freedom and peace. Namaste.